Tonight on ABS News, Deputy Governor Okeke tasked Christians to promote peace at all times. State Fire Service cautions against risky behavior that may lead to fire outbreak. Another Nigerian soldier killed in Maibukati, Borno State. On the foreign scene, former Indian Member of Parliament who spearheaded anti-Sikh protests in 1984 found guilty. Good evening and thanks for joining us on ABS Television News. I am Franklin Onyekachi. Now the news in details. Christians in the state have been encouraged to be peacemakers and intercessors for divine intervention on problems facing the state and the country. The State Deputy Governor, Dr. Nkem Okeke, gave the encouragement during a Sunday service at St. Simon's Anglican Church, Nobi, Idemili South Local Government Area. Correspondent Emmanuel Okonkwo has a report.
Deputy Governor Okeke described peace as the base of development in any society, called on Christians to be agents of peace and to shun behaviors or practices that breed hatred. Dr. Okeke emphasized on the commitment of the Obiano government to ensuring equal treatment of all denominations in the state.
So let's think about our life. This is the season of our Lord Jesus Christ. This is why we celebrate Christmas. It should teach us lessons. Every man down here is there. Every man, just smile. A smile sends the right message. The prayer that we all do pray is that death will not come out alone. Illness will not come out alone. Yeah? We will continue to pray it. Only the minute of here, every day. We will continue.
Earlier in a sermon, the Archdeacon Nobi Archdeaconry and Vicar St. Simon's Anglican Church, Nobi, Venerable Dr. Oswald Ezekwere, while citing example with the biblical John the Baptist, who devoted all his life to prayers and evangelism, reminded Christians of the need to wake to their responsibility of soul winning for the kingdom of God at all cost.
The message of our Lord Jesus Christ. And what are we trying to get from there today? I na-achọ ịchọpụta na dịka John the Baptist ziri ozi a, okwu ihe aka ọ na-ezi na akwụkwọ oziọma John na that John chapter 1 verse 29 ọ sị, leenụ nwa atụrụ Chineke nke na-ebupụ mmehie nke gịnị nke ụwa. That is the message.
From St. Simon's Anglican Church, Nobi, I am Emmanuel Okonkwo, reporting for ABS News.
The state government has commissioned the Obuku Caves and Waterfalls at Owerri Zukala, Urumba South Council area. The Commissioner for Diaspora Affairs, Indigenous Artworks, Culture and Tourism, Mrs. Salim Banefu, performed the official commissioning of the tourist site alongside a 6-room apartment containing 4 toilets and 2 bars to serve as lodge near the site. Correspondent Emmanuel Chibata was there for ABS News and now reports.
The event attracted the Alaafin of Oyo, Oba Lamidi Adeyemi, represented by Mr. Wale Ojolanre, Edo State Governor Mr. Godwin Obaseki, represented by the State's Arts and Culture Ambassador Mr. Kali Ozolwa, Ondo State Governor Mr. Rotimi Akeredolu, represented by Mr. Ayo Omotoso, Ogun State Governor Mr. Ibikunle Amosun, represented by Mrs. Omolola Adeyemi, and representative of Nigeria Tourism and Diaspora Commission, Mrs. Grace Oka, among others. 205 well-consolidated steps that leads to the ground floor of the caves and waterfall, and handrails were also constructed. Commissioning the site on behalf of Governor Obiano, Mrs. Mbanefo stressed that the state government has upgraded 2 tourist sites in less than 1 year. She noted that the ultimate goal is for United Nations, educational, scientific, and cultural organizations, UNESCO, to identify with the project and take it to the next level so as to create employment for the youths.
The significance of this is that we are showing everybody that Anambra is the best kept secret in the southeast. It's now time that we owned up to claim what we have and to invite others
In a speech, the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Diaspora, Mrs. Abike Dabiru Erewa, represented by Mr. Tobechukwu Obienu, who said that Anambra is one of the leading states in creating opportunities of interaction with the diaspora, said this is necessary in nation building and will reposition the economy, especially with the current efforts in economic recovery and growth drive. In a remark, the traditional ruler of the town, Igwe Thomas Ogbonnaya, expressed joy and appreciated the governor for improving the tourism potential of the state.
Like Owandiaka Kingdom is going to give to our amiable.
On his part, the youth leader of the community, Mr. Hilary Okafor, who thanked the governor for his unrelented work in Obuku Cave, pleaded for more support to lift the cave to an enviable height through infrastructural development and construction of access road, which will create job opportunities, generate revenue to the government, and eschew youth restiveness. Presentation of gift to Governor Obiano for his exemplary leadership by the community and dance featured at the event. From Owole Zukala in Orumba South Council area, I am Emmanuel Shibata reporting for ABS News.
Youths have been charged to be actively involved in the affairs of the country by participating in the country's growing democratic experience. This charge formed major high points of speeches at the Anambra Young People's Summit held in Awka. Chidinma Ikanyon was there and filed the report.
The summit attracted young politicians from different political parties, members of the academic community, and youth from different walks of life. Speaking during the summit, the Senior Special Assistant to the Governor on Economic Planning, Budget and Development Partners, Mr. Obiora Obiabumo, said the youth must be flexible in their thinking, always be ready to lead, must constantly get involved in politics and be prepared for leadership, as the Not Too Young to Run bill is not meant for the next generation.
Doesn't necessarily mean getting involved at the top. You can get involved where? At any stage. So it's with that, people will recognize you.
Lending his voice, the chairman of the Joint National Association of Persons with Disabilities, Jonapid, Anambra State Chapter, Comrade Ugochukwu Okeke, assured of youth's preparedness in the coming election, even as he enumerated some of the challenges of persons with disabilities in the coming election, to include the exclusion of Jonapid members, especially the hearing impaired.
With disability are very ready to participate in democracy and politics, but we have challenges. The challenges we have is inaccessibility of physical environment. Some of our members are being excluded.
Earlier in a welcome address, the state coordinator, Not Too Young to Run movement, Anambra State Chapter, Mr. Nonso Orakwe, appreciated the state government for including young minds of the state in decision-making and said that the main objective of the forum is to increase young people's interest to run for public offices, even as he made it known that the forum does not support political parties but can only give their vote to a candidate after much verification and findings of candidates with skills to represent the interests of young people.
To build a body of knowledge on youth candidacy in the states, to monitor trends of youth participation in politics.
Awards for youth support, activeness, and partnership was presented to the Commissioner for Economic Planning, Budget and Development Partners, Mr. Mark Okoye, who was represented by Mr. Obiora Obiabumo.
Here we are for the Not Too Young to Run movement of the Anambra State Chapter, and they have concluded that they will not support any party or any political party in this Anambra State, but they will have to look inwardly to see what the person or the candidate have done so far. In Awka, I am Chidinma Ikanyon reporting for ABS News.
The Anambra have been tasked to take steps to prevent fire outbreak in order to safeguard lives and property during the dry season. Kenechukwu Chukwuode monitored the fire safety walk and sensitization rally by the State Fire Service, where the call was made, and reported that the walk commenced from its headquarters along the Enugu-Onitsha Expressway through Aroma Junction, Amobia by Zik Avenue and Ekoka, Nkwamenyi, and terminated at its headquarters. His reports.
Which also had members of the Nigerian Institute of Safety Engineers, Anambra State Chapter, Smith City Rotary Club of Awka, and a music band, saw the distribution of flyers with messages on safety, which targets to enlighten people on fire safety during the dry season, and also containing emergency numbers of the state's fire service stations. In an interview at the end of the walk, the Chief Fire Officer of the state, Mr. Martins Abili, said the real essence of the sensitization work was to reawaken safety consciousness and precaution precautions to be taken by the people as the dry season are here, while also reiterating the agency's preparedness for any fire outbreak and emergency. Hence, the reason for their station's contact on the shared leaflets.
Safety and awareness walk, which is a program we tagged to reawaken the safety consciousness of Anambra during this dry season. That is the theme of the program. We decided to embark on this project so that we can inform Anambra that safety is important. And as we are in dry season, one of the safety measures is to abide by fire safety precautions. And again, generally, safety is very important because whatever we do at this season, if we don't apply safety measures, then it will lead to hazard.
Joining their voices on fire safety and prevention, Rotarian Chidi Obiudu of Oka Smith Club and Engineer Anayo Mozuka from the Nigerian Institute of Safety Engineers noted that they will use other avenues available to them in spreading the message of fire safety, prevention and precaution, while also urging those traveling to always switch off all electrical appliances and also to use qualified technicians and engineers in electrical installations in buildings.
My advice is people should know that fire kills. Avoid anything that will cause fire outbreak. And even if in the event of fire outbreak, try as much as you can to reach out to the numbers we already shared through the flyers today.
I want to advise the public is that most times, people do leave their homes without switching off the appliances. And most times they leave all those appliances, they will travel, they will go so many places and they will come back. If there's any surge on the line, it can cause fire, which by the time they come back, all the houses are already erased.
From the state's fire service headquarters in Oka, it's been Kenechukwu Chukwudi for ABS News.
Cash worth millions of naira have been disbursed to 33 community children's homes across the state by the State Council of Traditional Prime Ministers, Ndiono. Federal prisons in Oka, Nnewi, Agwata, and Onitsha. We are also among the beneficiaries. We have details.
Speaking during the event, which took place at the White Castle Hotels in Nnewi in an Onitsha local government area, its president, Chief Dr. Anthony Enukeme, said that the disbursement exercise is part of the social responsibility of the State Council of Traditional Prime Ministers, aimed at giving succor to the less privileged, especially during the Christian festivals. Chief Enukeme called on affluent individuals to always remember the less privileged ones this Christmas in order to give them a sense of belonging. He charged representatives of the benefiting homes to ensure that the cash and other items given to them on behalf of their various homes were judiciously utilized. Chief Dr. Enukeme used the opportunity to call on the federal and state government to create independent ministry of social welfare to take care of the less privileged in the society for efficient service delivery. Contributing, the Secretary of the State Council of Traditional Prime Ministers, Chief Joe Mwegu, charged those entrusted with the responsibilities of taking care of the destitute to always show them love. In an interview, the leader of the women's wing of the association, Iyom Mary Enukeme, who described Christmas as a period of showing true love, called on Nigerians to use the period in building bridges of love and good neighborliness.
Chineke nyere anyị o kwesịrị ka anyị na-enyekwalụ ndị onwe ha ka ọha aka so obi dị anyị mma ọ na-agụ anyị agụụ anyị na-ejikwa obi aṅụrị were sọpọtụ ndị di anyị ka ha nwee ike na-enyere ndị ụwa na-atụ.
In their various interviews, some representatives of the benefiting homes, including Mrs. Chinyere Oboriekwe, a welfare officer in charge of Onitsha South local government area, and Mrs. Bridget Ajela of Red Cross Motherless Babies Home, Onitsha, thanked the State Council of Traditional Prime Ministers for their benevolence, assuring to use the items for the purpose it was meant for.
I appreciate the efforts, what they do. I say kudos to them.
The 33 benefiting homes also received 2 gallons of 10 liters of liquid soap each.
The Nigerian army has said one soldier was killed yesterday while troops neutralized 4 Boko Haram terrorists who came to attack Mai Bukati village on Maiduguri-Damboa Road. Brigadier General Sani Usman, the Director of Army Public Relations, confirmed this in a statement today. Usman said weapons recovered from the terrorists include 4 AK-47 rifles, 45 rounds of 7.62 mm ammunition, 5 AK-47 rifle magazines. Also recovered were 2 motorcycles and 1 bicycle. Other items recovered were 1 bandolier, 1 cell phone, 3 SIM cards, an earpiece, some phone accessories, cola nuts, gloves, and drugs. On business, the federal government recorded a revenue shortfall of 3.04 trillion naira from January to September this year. From January to September this year, the federal government generated a total amount of 6.93 trillion naira as revenue from oil and non-oil sources. The 6.93 trillion naira revenue was arrived at based on the analysis of data obtained from the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN. A breakdown of the revenue showed that the sum of 2.08 trillion naira was generated in the first quarter, while the second and third quarters recorded 2.31 trillion naira and 2.52 trillion naira respectively. The amount generated in each of the quarters was far below the budgeted quarterly estimate of 3.32 trillion naira. When spread over a 9-month period, the budgeted quarterly estimate amounts to about 9.96 trillion naira. And on the foreign scene, Sajan Kumar, who was a member of the parliament at the time, was found guilty of inciting crowds to kill Sikhs in the popular 1984 anti-Sikh riots. In a scathing verdict, the Delhi High Court judges said the accused evaded justice due to political patronage. More than 3,000 Sikhs died in riots following the assassination of the then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi by her Sikh bodyguards. They were angry at her decision to send the army into the Golden Temple, Sikhism's holiest shrine, to flush out militants earlier in the year. The killing of Mrs. Gandhi, who belonged to the Congress, now India's main opposition party, saw mobs attack and murder members of the Sikh community across the country. The worst violence took place in the capital, Delhi, where more than 2,700 Sikhs were believed to have died. For 34 years, high-profile politicians accused of involvement in the anti-Sikh riots had evaded justice. This has changed with Sajan Kumar's conviction today. And in the world of sports, the full draw for Champions League round of 16 was released today. According to the draw, Schalke 04 will lock it out with Manchester City, while Atletico Madrid will be up against Juventus. Manchester United seek to stop Paris Saint-Germain's move and join in the quarterfinals as Tottenham Hotspur will fight the German giants Borussia Dortmund. Lyon is billed against Spanish giants Barcelona, while Roma will be challenging Porto, Ajax, and Real Madrid, while Liverpool will wait for Bayern Munich. Teams that finish in second place in the group stage will host the first legs on February 12 and 13 and 19 and 20, with the return matches scheduled for March 5 and 6 and 12 and 13. Governor Willie Obiano has expressed deep anguish over the death of late Mr. Sunday Ajayi, the former Federal Road Safety Corps sector commander in the state, who died in a fatal car crash on Saturday. Speaking at the Governor's Lodge in Anambra at the weekend, Governor Obiano described Mr. Ajayi's death as a heavy blow to the state and condoled with the family of the late safety marshal. Describing the deceased FRSC sector commander as a hard-working and a fine gentleman who gave his country his very best, Governor Obiano observed that he would be greatly missed by Anambra, but even more so by his family and friends who would have to cope with the void he left behind. Governor Obiano further expressed his condolences to the family and prayed that God Almighty will give them the fortitude to bear the pain of his sudden exit. Indeed, Ajayi's death last Saturday has cast a pall of grief on Anambra State, with many members of the State Executive Council paying tearful tributes to him and expressing their deep condolences to his family. And that report concludes our news bulletin for tonight. But remember that you can follow news and programs on ABS from any part of the world by logging onto our website at www.absradiotv.com. Like us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/absradiotelevision. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at absradiotv. And now to end the news, another look at the main stories. Deputy Governor Okeke has tasked Christians to promote peace at all times. State Fire Service has cautioned against risky behaviors that may lead to fire outbreak. Another Nigerian soldier has been killed in Mebukati, Borno State. And on the foreign scene, former Indian Member of Parliament who spearheaded anti-Sikh protests in 1984 has been found guilty. That's the news. Thanks for watching. Good night. I am Franklin Onyekachi.